Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk about resumes. This informational video was provided to you by the Columbia Youth Move chapter. Youth Move is here to help Boone County youth feel more confident with life skills and professional work ethic. Lots of things fall under professionalism. With that in mind, let me ask you one question. How many resumes have you made for previous job applications? 1, maybe 100? Well, today you'll be learning all about how to create the perfect resume that'll increase your chances of getting hired. We'll be discussing the basics of resume building. We'll go over how to set up your personal profile, add in your work and education, apply your life skills, and give you some tips and tricks with your resume to get you off the ground. So let's start with the main portion of your resume, you. Why do you need a resume? For every job you apply to, you should have up-to-date information of your work history and accomplishments. It shows your professionalism and preparation and is overall considered a standard for job applications. Having a resume increases your chances of getting hired anywhere between 7 to 32%. It will help your employer understand who you are as a worker and get you into the right job. So let's say hello. Your personal profile should really speak on who you are as a person and a professional. It will introduce you to your hiring manager and let them know a little bit more about you. In this, you should include your name, a few forms of contact, your residency, and a summary. You'll want all of this information in one section to keep things organized and easy to read. Most recruiters will be looking for your phone number and email address. It's not necessary, but even adding an Indeed page or a LinkedIn account will increase your chances of a good hire. And finally, add a verse about your person. Include the interesting things about you, your hobbies, family, lifestyle, work ethic, etc. This could be a portion of your personal mission statement, your elevator pitch, or something small, no more than 5 or 6 sentences.
The first thing when starting your resume is to put your name at the top, nice and bold. This way everyone knows that this is your resume. Then you should list your experiences from past to present with the most recent job listed first, and then list your past jobs. When listing your bullet points, you should list your most important points. This helps elaborate your important information and highlights relevant information to the job you're applying for. You should only have 4 to 5 bullet points per segment so that your resume is not too long. You should keep your resume to 1 page. This is a resume, not a book. When creating your resume should contain information to hype you up as a person. This resume is about you, after all. Your resume should highlight the professional aspects of you and your experiences. When putting your resume together, you should keep the format basic and legible to read. Here are 2 resumes side by side, good and bad. Starting from the top, we see the bad resume has a non-professional email listed. On the good resume, she has a professional email. On the bad resume, you can see that Meredith Gray has a picture. Although she is wonderful, this is not needed nor professional. There is also yellow and cursive text that is hard to read, and there are many different fonts being used. In comparison, on the good resume, you are able to read the text and it's all one font. Notice how each section is set up. There are 3 to 4 bullet points on each. On the bad resume, there are inconsistent bullet points and missing information. It is also missing dates. Dates are super important. The bad resume is not original. It follows a Google Docs template. This can sometimes be helpful, but sometimes it lacks your creative splash and gives the wrong context. In the good resume, we are able to see original creativity, but in a professional manner that expresses you as a person. Make sure your resume is spaced and indented evenly. Good examples of categories for resumes are education, professional experience, volunteer experience, relevant courses, and skills.
Now that we've talked about the basics of resumes and organizations, we can look at your work, education, and volunteer experience. These sections should showcase the things you do at school, team sports, clubs, honor roll, etc., the places you've worked, and any time you've given to volunteer. These experiences are the meat of your resume and can drastically change the way it looks. It also shows what you have and have not done throughout your professional career and gives the interviewer an opportunity to ask about areas that you might otherwise get overlooked. If you are worried that you might not have enough to fill your resume, don't worry. You can always find opportunities for growth. Let's look through some helpful tips for each section. You may benefit from volunteering at your school, cleaning up the football stadium after a game, or helping with setting up your concession for school events, or your local nursing home. Volunteering is a great way to add to your professional values and viewpoints to work experience. If you are passionate about animals, but haven't had the opportunity to have a job working with them, volunteer at your local shelter. Challenge yourself by taking AP classes or join a new club. If you have taken a language, make sure you add your proficiency level, conversational, working, proficient, or fluent. Your education section should also include your estimated graduation date. If you move forward to college or certification programs and already have been accepted into a program, make sure to list anticipated class of and list the month and year you are on track to receive your degree or certification. This helps show future employers that you are dedicated and have plans for the future. Your work experience is a really key part of your resume. From here, recruiters can gauge their initial assessment of your work ethic, dedication, and commitment to any previous training you might have done on the job. If you have fewer jobs to list underneath your work experience, don't freak out. Most recruiters will understand that you are getting started in the workforce. Try utilizing that extra space by including more information about the job and what you did there. Or list life skills or experiences.
When you are starting your working career and making your first resume, you might not have very much work experience. Sometimes you might have experience that does not match the job you are applying to. In these cases, you can use some life skills and experiences. Things like babysitting and volunteering are good to add. Try to keep your life experiences aimed towards your job goal. If you want a job in childcare, you can talk about how you grew up babysitting, even if it was only your siblings or your family. If you attended any special classes or trainings, you can add those as well. For life skills, you can add things you have learned from those experiences. Things like being a good verbal communicator, a good listener, leadership skills, and of course some of those other hands-on skills as well. When listing life skills and experiences, make sure to put them in order of most to least recent. Life skills are not required as long as you have some work experience listed. However, it is nice to have so that anyone reading can get a feel of the type of person you are. Remember to not stress over not having enough work experience. Add some of those life experiences and skills, and you will have a strong alternative.
Now let's show you an example of how these things can be listed. From the slide, you'll see that this person had their work experience that they've had over the years that they have worked, the volunteer experience that they have done, and added the things that they have accomplished at school. While it can feel a bit overwhelming to put all your information down, remember that you should be proud of all that you've accomplished, so share it.
While you are working on your resume, there are some common do's and don'ts that will help you stand out. First, let's talk about what not to do. Don't use distracting colors or graphics. While we want you to showcase your personality, we don't want it to distract from your work experience. As a young professional, you always need to remember that some recruiters might approach with their own individual bias based on your age. So remember to make a resume that showcases the professional you. Don't choose small, hard-to-read fonts. This will make it difficult to read your resume. Don't list work experience without also giving a job description. A few quick bullet points describing what you did can help you stand out. This also helps if you are trying to show how what you have done previously ties into the role you are applying for. Don't use unprofessional language in your personal profile or job descriptions. Also refrain from using slang or location-based terms. Don't list your full address. If a potential workplace needs your full address, they will request it in the application. Don't add a picture of yourself. It can create a bias beforehand. Don't post links to your personal social media accounts, and be aware of which email address you list.
Now that we have discussed the don'ts, let's talk about what you should do instead to make your resume stand out. Do use subtle or reserved colors or designs. While it is appropriate for certain jobs, such as graphic designer, artist, etc., to have heavily designed work showcased on your resume. Most of the time, try and stick with a mellow tone version of typical colors. Before deciding on a color, research the company you will be applying for. Is their website vibrant and decorative, or more straightforward and minimalistic? Tailor your resume color and design work based on that. Do utilize bullet points in your job descriptions to showcase your skills. Make sure the bullet points you are listing tie into the job you are applying for. So if you have cashier experience on your resume and you are applying for a call center job, maybe your bullet points include 95% average customer satisfaction rating, served 100 plus customers an hour, and so forth. Instead of focusing on the other job duties such as cleaning, stocking, etc., this helps show you are a great fit for a customer-facing role. Do list your city, state, and zip code next to your contact information. If you plan to move, whether for school or you are moving with your family, list your new city, state, and zip code with the estimated move date, like this: Columbia Mo 65203, estimated move date May 2024. That way, you can apply for job openings in your new city, and they will have a rough estimate of when you will be available to work. Do list the URL for your LinkedIn. A properly updated and used LinkedIn gives the employer a glimpse of your professional and personal experience and previous professional connections. If you are going into a field where you need to show visual examples of your work, graphic design, fashion design, or a link to a professional portfolio website, include that on your resume as well. You want it to be as easy as possible for recruiters to quickly find examples of your work experience.
We talked about what not to do earlier. Now here's an example of a resume that only followed the don'ts. They used distracting and bold graphics and colors, such as the oranges, reds, and coin piles. Their font is too small and hard to read. They added an unprofessional photo of themselves and used lots of slang and unprofessional language throughout their profile and job descriptions. They also listed an unprofessional or personal email, and their location isn't listed. This is what we call a very weak resume.
Now let's look how this resume followed the do's. This person did use subtle or reserved colors or designs, with their colors being plain but adding a hint of blue. Subtitles stand out, detailing experience and also all important things in your life to showcase with bullet points and to give examples of your skills. Looking at the address, they did put the city and state. They also have added LinkedIn properly into their resume so employers can click and go straight to your page. Now this is what you call a very strong resume.
Your employer may or may not ask for any references, but having them with you will further inform your employer on your skill set, how you interact with coworkers, and their recommendation of your work. If you want to have references on the spot, be sure to ask your person of interest a few questions so they know how to respond and give you a good recommendation. Some questions may include, what was your relationship to the candidate? How would you rate their work? Or, would you hire this candidate again? Make sure they are someone that can talk in the same field of work as you. If you want to use someone as a reference, make sure they're aware. It's always odd to get a phone call or email from someone you've never met asking how well you've worked with another person. If you don't have any references with your resume, you should have some information ready. Provide your employer with your reference's name, phone number, and email. Sometimes a position of work is necessary, but not always. You could also just apply to your resume references available upon request. Cover letters also aren't required, but writing one shows how powerful your drive is to get into a job. In your cover letter, you should of course apply your personal mission statement and then dig deeper into it. You can explain how you built from past training, experience, and volunteer work.
We know that you've had a lot of info thrown at you throughout the short training, but remember that Youth Move is here to help you with everything we've gone over in this video. You have seen what makes a good or a bad resume, in addition on how to pick the best template for your professional goals. Continue to follow the do's and don'ts and impactfully list all that you've accomplished. Always remember that your resume should show you as a person and as a professional. Find creative ways to make your resume stand out from the crowd and get your foot in the door for an interview. Now take what you have learned here today and go create a phenomenal resume to get that job you want. If you would like additional training or assistance, please reach out to your local Youth Move chapter for further life skill classes. If you would like to prepare for an interview, make sure to check out the Youth Move interview training for some helpful next steps. As always, Youth Move is here to support.
Now, thank you for watching, and please reach out to Youth Move or Flourish if you have any questions. Have a great day.